everybody. Today we're talking with Mary, who looks like Lady Gaga, and her party trick is opera singing. She once worked on a vineyard in the south of France. She hitchhiked in Mexico with girlfriends, and she wishes she was from Berlin. Today, Mary is sharing about beautiful Cuba. So welcome, Mary.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great.
It's fun to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time, Mary. And we're going to go ahead and start the 7-minute timer. So tell us why you chose Cuba.
Sure. Well, I am a singer and a songwriter and a music producer and an artist coach. And I was living in New York City for 10 years. And it came about because I was applying to different artist residencies and I had got rejected from all of these residencies that I applied on this one effort.
Right.
I mean, I've gotten other ones before, but here, and I was disappointed. And then I decided I'm not going to let someone else's decision determine my fate. And Cuba had always been on the back of my mind.
Oh,
And this was under Obama. So as a US citizen, we could go and visit there. And I love Cuban music, especially Cuban jazz and Cuban piano, jazz piano.
hmm.
And so I decided to create my own solo month-long artist retreat in Havana. And
Wow.
at that time, I was a professional gypsy jazz singer in New York at that time. My artist name is Mary Alouette. I was also performed under the artist name Alark. And I identified with this starving artist idea in order that to have integrity as an artist, or so I thought. But I found a way to get $3,000
Oh,
cash
wow.
because we, as U.S. citizens, we can't withdraw money in Cuba, and I had to keep this on me throughout the entire trip. And I took daily piano lessons with this amazing pianist, Ulysses Villavicencio, at this music school, daily Afro-Cuban percussion lessons, and connected with the musicians there. And I ended up writing and recording a Cuban jazz album
Oh my gosh.
that's going to be released soon, and that's called Cuba Diaries. And in it, I had been practicing these Cuban jazz rhythms, which are so interesting. This one rhythm is called a montuno, where in piano, the left hand is playing one rhythm and the right hand is playing another, and you're syncopating between your left and your right sides of your body. And I was dreaming this, and I decided to hire this all-star band and get in the studio of famed Cuban singer Pablo Milanez and record this album. And so that's coming out soon.
Oh my goodness.
And you can actually watch the trailer of that video at bit.ly/Cuba Diaries trailer. But staying in Cuba was really incredible. I stayed in Havana, in Centro, which is right in between, downtown, classic, old school Havana, and oh my gosh, the name escapes me right now, and I feel the pressure with the 7 minutes.
Oh no.
This other neighborhood that is where a lot of the locals also live.
Right.
If it comes to mind, I'm going to think about it. I'm sorry.
No.
But anyways, I was staying in the real deal center of Havana on Neptuno Street, and it was an Airbnb.
Oh,
And directly from my balcony, I could look out and see the Malecon. And being in the real deal where the Cubans were was so interesting, and everyone was hanging out their laundry, and you could see the old splendor and grandeur of these buildings, but also their crumbling facades. And you could sit on the balcony and watch these old cars coming through the streets. And because I was living there for a month, I made friends with a lot of locals, and they taught me all of the local ways to go about living in Havana. The food was so much better when you eat what the Cubans eat. The tourists pay about 10 times the price, and it's not even as good. Even when I went to some of the best restaurants, in my experience, the best food was the local food. In regards to food, I really wanted more vegetables. Vegetables were hard to come by. They had just some tomatoes, some cucumbers, maybe some iceberg lettuce, beans for sure, and other like some vegetables. But the first thing I did when I got back to New York City was have a salad because I really needed these nutrients. I felt even when I packed vitamins and minerals, um, but staying in Cuba, I took these 50-cent taxi rides to the music school every day, and I stood on the corner on this major, I guess it's not a highway, but a major street in Havana. And you flag a car and you jump in the car with the other Cubans. And it's really one of those old school cars, but it's not one of the pretty ones from the photos.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty on the outside, but the inside, it's from the 50s. And these cars are still up and running. And I have some photos of the insides of these cars that I've posted on my social media channels on Instagram at Alarke, ALARKE_. So you can see some photos of the insides. But, you just be sitting with all of these Cubans and, taking this 50-cent taxi ride. And that was cool. I also went to Vinales, which is a heritage. It's northwest Cuba, and they have these mountains that are so unique. They look like they were out of a Disney movie to me because they were so magical, and I had never seen anything like them before. And I just showed up there. I didn't even have a place to stay because once you're in Cuba as an American citizen, I couldn't access Airbnb once I was in heaven. So I talked to my local friends. They made some phone calls. They found a place that I could stay in Vinales down in the town center. But I had wanted to have this countryside mountain getaway for a weekend. And I got there. I arrived in Vinales, and the story about that of how to travel in Cuba, I'll tell in a second. But this is just a suggestion on how to get around. Trust your gut, be street smart, but you don't have to do everything by the book. In fact, so much more of the magic happens when you just go with the flow.
Right.
But I arrived there and I didn't want to stay in the town center. And so I just asked around. And then there was this grandmother who had an empty room available to host someone at the top of the mountain when she was living with her granddaughter. And so I went up there and I stayed with her for 2 nights, and they were so lovely. And it was so cool. I rode a horse down into the tobacco field in Vinales, and it was led around by some cowboys, and we got to, smoke real Cuban cigars from families that have produced them from generations, and coffee farms, fincas, and the really cool way of how I got there is I took this, I don't know, it must have been like totaling $10 US cab ride.
Right.
I think tourism, if you take a tour bus, it's like $70. And I just don't do the tourist stuff.
Yeah, not in Cuba.
Because it's not as fun. Like,
no.
God, it's just to
oh my gosh, that's fabulous. Unfortunately, I think I heard the 7-minute timer. I was just getting engrossed in all your tips, and it sounds so beautiful. I'm so thankful that we got to meet you and hear about your experiences in Cuba. So just letting everyone know, if you have questions for Cindy and I, we're doing a new question and answer series. So send us your questions. The link is in the description, and travel with us through real stories from real people. Thank you so much.
Thank you.